It was in the back seat of his black Mustang, under a blanket of rain and darkness, that I felt the lips of another man on my skin for the first time in 13 years of marriage. My thighs trembled under his breath, and I did not stop him. My wedding ring pressed into the leather seat as I gripped it for balance, not guilt. That night, temptation tasted like sweat, rainwater, and cinnamon gum, and I swallowed every drop of shame like it was sweet wine. Before I go on, I want to say a big thank you to all my loyal subscribers who have stood by this channel. Your love and support mean the world to me. To all the new and returning viewers who have not yet subscribed, what are you waiting for? Your subscription is the fuel that keeps this channel burning with true, raw, and emotional stories. Please do not forget to drop your thoughts in the comments section. I read them all, and they keep me going. Now, let me introduce myself. My name is Rachel Montgomery. I am a 38-year-old white woman living in a quiet neighborhood in Savannah, Georgia. I was married to Jeffrey Montgomery, a civil engineer with a mild temper, a deep voice, and a predictable routine. We had a daughter in college, a house with beige walls, and a marriage that had gone cold like yesterday's coffee. We did not fight. We simply coexisted. I met Brandon Miles at a local gym I joined after my annual checkup revealed rising blood pressure and weight gain. Brandon was 28, African American, tall and lean with arms like carved wood. He wore sleeveless shirts even in winter and smelled of citrus and something masculine that made me dizzy. He became my personal trainer 3 weeks into my membership. At first, it was innocent. He would adjust my posture, grip my waist when I did squats, and hold my knees in place during leg presses. But I began to notice how long his hands lingered. I began to notice how I stopped pulling away. One rainy evening, the gym cleared out early. The storm outside was wild. Brandon offered to walk me to my car. The thunder rolled like a drumline as we stepped out, but instead of heading to my sedan, he pulled me towards his Mustang parked near the exit. He said, "Just wait it out. Safer in here." I could have said no. I should have said no. But the truth was, I was not just waiting out the rain. I was waiting for something to happen. And it did. Inside the car, his fingertips brushed a strand of wet hair from my face. That was all it took. That simple touch unraveled the knot of restraint I had tied around myself for years. His mouth was on mine before I could finish inhaling. His hands explored the places I forgot were even there. He kissed my neck. He undid my gym bra without a word. My body betrayed my vows faster than my mind could catch up. When his tongue traveled lower and lower, my thighs parted, not from weakness, but hunger. It was primal. Hot. Raw. No music. No dirty talk. Just breath, sweat, and thunder. It lasted maybe 15 minutes, but the guilt began the second it ended. I pulled my bra back on in silence while he stared at me, lips still wet from my shame. "Are you okay?" he asked. I nodded. I lied. When I returned home, Jeffrey was watching a documentary with his glasses slipping down his nose. He looked up and smiled like nothing had changed. But everything had. I stood in the shower for an hour that night. The water could not wash him off me. His scent lived in my pores. His voice echoed between my legs. My husband was asleep when I climbed into bed. I stared at the ceiling, fully clothed, my heart pounding with what I had done. But the sickest part? I wanted to feel it again. It was not love. It was not even lust. It was power. It was the feeling of being seen again, not as a wife or a mother, but as a woman with curves, urges, and secrets. The next morning, I told myself it was a mistake. I told myself it would never happen again. But I wore my tightest leggings to the gym anyway. And when I walked in, Brandon's eyes locked on mine like he already knew I had not come to exercise. I wish I could say that was the end. But the truth is, it was only the beginning. The next time it happened, it was not in his car. It was in the gym supply closet, between rolls of yoga mats and unopened boxes of protein shakes. We were like thieves stealing moments we had no business owning. He lifted me with a grip so firm it bruised, but I did not mind. The bruises reminded me I was still alive. After that, it was as if a switch had been flipped. I would wake up beside Jeffrey, kiss his cheek, make breakfast, and then sneak out of the house with my legs shaved and perfume under my sports bra. I lived a double life, faithful wife by morning, shame-slicked woman by noon. But then Brandon did something that twisted the knife in a way I never saw coming. He came for dinner. It started with an innocent conversation at the gym. Brandon had mentioned how boring his week had been, how he always ate alone, and how he missed a good home-cooked meal. I laughed, teasing him, saying I made the best baked mac and cheese in the state. And then he said it, invite me, then. I thought he was joking. But he was not. He showed up at my door on a Thursday evening, wearing a button-down shirt and black jeans, holding a bottle of wine and a bouquet of grocery store roses. My husband answered the door. You must be Brandon, Jeffrey said, reaching out to shake his hand with a warm smile. Rachel talks about you all the time. I nearly dropped the casserole dish. That dinner was hell in disguise. Jeffrey loved him. He laughed at Brandon's stories, poured him glass after glass of wine, and even asked for workout tips. All the while, I sat there, a prisoner in my own skin, pretending I could not feel the man who had kissed my thighs sitting across from my husband like a friend. Brandon played along perfectly, too perfectly. Under the table, his foot brushed mine. At first, I moved away. Then he did it again, slower this time, sliding his shoe up my calf. I froze. My hand clenched around my fork. My thighs remembered him. And they wanted more. When dessert came out, he leaned in and whispered something low into my ear as he passed his empty plate. I missed the taste of you. I nearly choked on my wine. After he left, Jeffrey sat beside me on the couch, bragging about how cool Brandon was. He even joked that he should start working out too. I nodded. I smiled. I excused myself early, claiming I was tired. But I was not tired. I was unraveling. I checked my phone once I was alone in bed. One message from Brandon. I want you again. Tomorrow. Do not say no. I deleted it immediately. But my body had already said yes. The next morning, I took extra care with my appearance. But guilt was beginning to claw its way to the surface. The shame that once tasted sweet was starting to rot. I looked at Jeffrey over breakfast. His face was calm. Trusting. Happy. He had no idea I had just been fantasizing about being bent over a squat rack. But what happened next nearly brought my whole world crashing down. Later that evening, Jeffrey asked me to grab something from his car. I walked out, keys in hand, heading toward the garage. But parked just outside the driveway, I saw it, Brandon's gym shirt. The same navy blue one I had balled up in my purse days ago after one of our rendezvous. I thought I had tossed it. I must have dropped it. I stood there, breath shallow, staring at the piece of fabric like it had fangs. It was unmistakably his. His initials were stitched at the collar, BM. And just behind me, I heard Jeffrey's voice. Rachel? Everything okay out there? I snatched the shirt and shoved it deep into the trash can near the curb. Yes, I called out, forcing my voice not to crack. Just a spider on the windshield. But in that moment, I knew it. The line was thinner than ever. I was one mistake away from losing everything. That night, Brandon texted again. You left something of mine. I want it back. Come to the gym. Alone. I should have said no. But shame, when it is wrapped in temptation, never feels like poison until it is too late. And I was already addicted to the taste. I knew the look in his eyes the second I walked through the door that night. Jeffrey was seated at the edge of our couch, elbows on his knees, staring at the floor like it had just whispered a secret. The air was heavy, and I felt it in my gut, that storm that always comes before truth destroys everything in its path. He did not say a word. Not at first. I had just come back from the gym. My skin still glistened from Brandon's touch. My hair was pulled back, but the disheveled edges betrayed me. I tried to step around him like nothing was wrong, like I was not soaked in guilt. But Jeffrey lifted his hand slowly, and in it was the shirt. Brandon's navy blue gym shirt. He must have pulled it from the trash. The breath fled from my lungs. I froze, heartbeat pounding so loud it drowned out the sound of the ceiling fan overhead. "I found this," he said finally, lifting his head. His voice was calm. Too calm. "Tell me, Rachel, who does it belong to?" My throat burned. My palms itched. Shame clawed up my chest, but I swallowed it down and whispered, "Brandon." Silence. He did not blink. "So, it is true?" he asked. I nodded. A single tear rolled down his cheek, but he wiped it quickly, like it was beneath him to cry. He stood. Slowly. Carefully. Like he was holding back an explosion with every breath. "I thought we were boring," he said. "But I never thought we were broken." And then he walked out. No yelling. No threats. No slamming doors. Just silence. And that silence felt louder than a scream. I stayed on that couch all night, knees hugged to my chest, listening to the fridge hum and the clock tick. Morning came, but he did not. Not to our bedroom. Not to breakfast. Not even a phone call. Later that day, he sent a single text. "I need space. Do not contact me." I was a ghost in my own home. I thought Brandon would be my escape. My comfort. But what happened next shattered that fantasy beyond repair. I went to the gym, looking for him. I needed him to hold me, lie to me, tell me I did the right thing by choosing pleasure over commitment. But he was not there. One of the female trainers said he had been suspended. Apparently, someone filed a complaint. She would not say who. Then she leaned in and asked, "Are you okay?" "You look not okay." I lied. I told her I was just tired. That evening, I received a message from an unknown number. A photo. Then another. Then a video. It was me. In the supply closet. Moaning. Clinging to Brandon like he was my lifeline. My blood ran cold. Underneath the video was one line. "Thought you should know what he does to all his clients. You were never special." I dropped the phone. I sat on the edge of my bed and shook for a long time. Brandon had filmed us. Without my knowledge. Without my consent. I was just another notch in his belt. Suddenly, it all made sense. The charm. The way he slipped into my marriage so easily. The dinner. The smirk. The way he had begged for just one more taste. I was never the one pulling the strings. I was the puppet. And now, the strings had snapped. The next day, Jeffrey came home. He stood in the doorway, looking at me like I was someone he had never known. I walked up to him. I reached for his hand. He did not flinch. But he did not hold it either. "I am sorry," I said. "Not just for cheating. For lying. For making you feel like you were not enough." He looked at me, eyes hollow. "I cheated on you too, Rachel," he whispered. My chest tightened. "What?" I breathed. "Years ago. When you were pregnant with Emma. It was once. I thought it meant nothing. But I have lived with it every day since." He walked past me, dropped his keys on the counter, and said, "We are even now, right?" But it did not feel even. It felt ruined. Because now we were two broken mirrors trying to make a reflection whole again. Weeks passed. We tried therapy. We tried sleeping in the same bed again. We tried silent dinners and walking around the block like nothing had changed. But everything had. Eventually, we stopped pretending. Jeffrey moved into an apartment downtown. I stayed in the house. Alone. Quiet. Sober with my shame. I still get messages sometimes, from random numbers. Threats. Snide comments. Proof that Brandon had shared my video with others. I have not gone back to that gym since. I cannot even look at my reflection sometimes. But I own every choice I made. Every moment I let shame dress itself as desire. Every second I betrayed a man who once trusted me with his whole heart. Do I regret it? Yes. But would I erase it if I could? No. Because now I know who I am. I am not the perfect wife. I am not the perfect woman. I am someone who was broken, selfish, and tempted. But I am also someone who survived the fire. And even though it scorched everything, I am still standing.